So that was your life before the digital marketing then was from college, you just aimed that you were going to go into the military, follow the family?
Yeah, so how this worked out is I actually used to be in the medical field right after high school. Worked there for a few years. The doctor I was working for was about to retire, so I decided, hey, this is a great opportunity to either A, go to another place, continue my medical career, or B, go into the military. And it was mainly, I'm sure you're well aware of this from the States, when you go to college, you have to pay for it. And I did not want to get into student loan debt. I have a little bit, but yeah, so I was like, hey, there's an option. Go to the Army, get some great training, and I can switch careers if I want. And they pay for college afterwards. They pay for the college and for housing, which is unheard of in the States.
That's nice.
Uh, so I went ahead and did that. I completely switched careers from the medical field. They kept telling me, "Hey, you should be a medic. You should be a medic." I'm like, "Is there anything else?" Because I maxed out all the scores. I'm sure there's something else available. And they're like, "Yeah, go down the list." And I was between. It was all intel work, and I ended up deciding to become an interrogator for the Army, the U.S. Army. And with that came like they taught me Arabic for 2 years. So now I'm fluent in a third language after my Spanish was I grew up in Puerto Rico, kind of jump here and there, but so Puerto Rico, then Florida, I learned English, then Army, Arabic, and now here in Germany, uh, learning German. Still not as high as I want it to be, but I'm getting there.
That's
And
awesome.
yeah, for sure.
Let's see. So how long were you in the army for again? Sorry.
So I was active duty for 6 years,
Wow.
and I've been in the reserves, Army Reserves, which is 1 week in a month, just in case deployments are necessary for war or something, for 1 year. So 7 total.
Of course. So did you have any sort of experience with not even digital marketing, with sort of technology and with online sort of space? Was there anything you'd done with that before coming into it as an agency owner?
Yeah, so for me, for myself, it's always been like you know how people have like a specific hobby where like they know the guitar and they're really good at it. Me growing up, I had like my hobby was to try out everything I could, like different hobbies. And I've tried all kinds, like I like surfing, fishing, boxing, hiking, but I also delved into the digital stuff. So I started getting trained with like becoming a certified ethical hacker. But
Nice.
that was way back in the day before there was any kind of ethical hackers. But that's the type of stuff I was training, like Linux, how to run, like making my own codes and things of that nature. Kind of left it alone for a while. Got into the army. With interrogations, of course, it's like person to person type of thing. But when it comes to report writing or other facets that we did, we definitely delved into the digital world, and it was a great experience for me to bring out into the civilian world for sure.
Nice one. So was that sort of a reason behind why you ended up going into the digital marketing space, or was there something else that kind of made you pull the trigger on that?
Okay, so that was one of the reasons is the fact that I had that training in order to be able to just mess with the digital world in general. But one of my main reasons that I was actually very surprised, I had misconceptions about interrogations myself, was the actual, how do you say, the actual techniques that are used
Mhm.
to collect intelligence were completely the opposite of what I thought. And what I say is like I'm sure everybody's heard of the like Guantanamo Bay with torturing people
Yeah.
and all those things. So I'm going in, they're like, well, like there was a court case, so they don't do this anymore, but I'm sure there's still rude or assholes. They slap you around, waterboarding, and all these things. And when I go in there and I start training, one of the first people they quote was actually a Nazi interrogator from World War II. That's Mr. Scharf, and his whole technique was kindness. And I was just like flabbergasted, like, what do you mean kindness? And the whole thing was if you talk to people and you treat them like human beings and you listen and you from there you can actually build trust and they'll actually start giving you, in my case for interrogations, intelligence.
Mhm.
And it becomes a thing where they want to talk to you. They don't even notice they're giving you the intel you want. And it was just a thing of, or how do I say, like it's easier to track it's easier to track bees with honey than with a stick.
Yeah.
And I that just blew my mind. Like I just could not believe, like, is this really what we do? I've
Mhm.
had colonels that used to be interrogators back in the day saying like, you give me actually I think it was Mattis that said that. He said, "Give me a 6-pack of beer and a pack of cigarettes, and I can make anybody talk." I'm like, "What are you talking about? Like, it's always waterboarding on TV. Like, how can you say these things?" Then when I dove in there after training and I started actually conducting interrogations and all that stuff, I really learned that that was actual fact. Like, being kind to people, listening, and like just forming that relationship really is the key to I would say about 98% of people's like who they
Perception.
are. Exactly. There is that 2% or maybe a little higher that you need to be a little harsher, but you really like that physical stuff is not required. And even in those cases, you're just mimicking. Like if they're a rude type of person, they
Yeah.
want you to be rude as well. And when you mimic that, then then they talk. But even then they come down and it just comes like just being best buddies.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Exactly.
obviously what you said there, is it different as well in the fact that, when you see it in the movies, you maybe have like a squadron or whatever you would call it in the army in your side, and say you've got like 4 or 5 guys, 3 cars, all pull in at the same time, jack a guy, put him in a van, drive. I assume it's not as high intensity and as exciting as the movies make it out to be in that form before you even get to the point of the interrogation and trying to get it out of them.
Yeah. So when it comes to those type of situations, so obviously like every major country in the world is doing covert operations. What you're explaining is they just pull up, they
Smash
take
and
you,
grab.
and yeah, exactly. And I myself was not part of those things. I can't confirm or deny that it happens in the army right now, but what I can tell you is that um, for me, of course, an interrogator, when you interrogate, it's against their will. So whether they were arrested legally by some cop because they were caught being like conducting espionage, or if they were caught like ISIS fighters, if they were caught out there, they were shooting at us. Obviously, they're the bad guys. It's against their will.
Mhm.
Um,
So it's not
and
so
so
much like they're like a confidential informant. It's not like, they're just out and free to go and then they come to you and give you. It is more a case. It is still interrogation. It's just not aggressive and as bad as they make it out to be in the movies and Guantanamo and stuff like that.
yeah, so with interrogations, so that was like my main part of one of my main parts of my job. But I also conducted. It's called source operations, which is informants. And so with that those are the ones that come in willingly.
Mhm.
But those take much. There's a much longer process because when you're captured and interrogated, somebody sits you down on a table. They start talking to you. Like it's obvious. Like okay, they're gonna try to get stuff out of me.
Yeah.
But when it comes to like informants and things of that nature, it's you have to form a relationship in a long time, and you have to case them, and you have to vet them, make sure that they're actually ready for orders and things of that nature. But with that, it's at the end of the day, it's the same process. It's just that one takes longer because they can always vendor.